guys, this is JVB with vlog 25 and today's Q&A, questions asked by you guys, which I will be answering right now. I try to keep it really brief. I will do my best, I can promise. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I'm just gonna do a few today and then do the rest tomorrow. So the first question that came in from Gary Bryant McGrath was, what is your favorite work of literature? Good question, Gary. I don't really read as much as I should. I used to read all the Anne Rice books, which I love so much. And I got introduced to this guy, Lawrence Block, a while ago. He's a science fiction writer, which I love his stuff as well. It's like a lot of detective stories, which I kind of like that. I wanted to be a detective when I was a kid, and that didn't pan out, and I'm kind of happy I do what I do now. For the most part, really, I like to read biographies. I also like to read just random things, you know, that catch my eye about fashion, about nutrition, about working out. My favorite books right now, actually, it sounds kind of lame, but I like self-improvement books. So I read a lot of Tony Robbins at the moment, Harv Eker, Bob Proctor, those kind of books. They really inspire me. I've also read books on procrastination, always trying to better myself, and I still have to learn to actually, you know, apply what I've learned. So that's the tricky part. The one book, it was a novel that I read a couple of years ago, and that was actually a novel. Usually I'm very ADD, like when I'm reading, I usually like start thinking about what I have to do, or I have a song idea. So it's really hard for me to keep focused, and I'm also not a fast reader, so I need to work on speed reading. So the one book that I actually read all the way through and I couldn't believe it, it was called Micro by Michael Crichton, I think his name is, Crichton, Michael Crichton. And that book was freaking amazing. So if you haven't read it yet, read it. Just look up, Google Micro. Amazing book, great novel. Yeah, so that's pretty much, I need to work on that part. I always feel like I don't have time to read, but now I make myself like half an hour a day I read. So I'm working on it. But I want to get back to it because I think it's important to read, especially for songwriters, right? Hope that answered your question. The next question came from, I don't remember the order. I think it was Gothic Zen. NeoKitty69, how are you? My Twitter buddy. Your question was, I've seen other artists like Gene Simmons and Chris Cornell allude to rock dying, presumably because of computer-generated music. Do you see this current trend continuing, or do you think there will be a revisitation of more organic production? And in either case, what do you think of what the future holds? Is there perhaps some new revolution or just around the corner? Good question. I don't know what the future holds. I think most of us musicians don't really know what the future holds. It's the funny thing is, like, electronic music has always been, I'm from Germany, and techno has always been huge, in Europe. So that just kind of came over to America a few years ago, and it's been great. And rock seems to be dead in a way, yes. However, I think it's not. It's just become more the underground. They kind of like turntables, where DJs are becoming big and are still big. And, a lot of clubs. I mean, I remember like in New York City and even LA, a lot of clubs just closed down, and there's less places for artists to perform. However, I think that as long as there will be, uproar tours and or, whatever big concerts there are, there will always be rock music. It will never completely die, I think. When you now go to big festivals, it's basically like a good combination, a good balance of like electronic music, like Coachella, electronic music, rock music, older artists, new artists, and I hope that that balance will continue, because I think it's just important to honor the older generation, as well as embrace the new one. I'm just as curious to see what will happen as you are. And every time I talk to musicians about it, and even industry people about it, nobody really knows what's going to happen. All we know is that everything goes in cycles, right? So everything comes back. Right now there's a lot of retro coming back. True rock and roll rock stars are dead. I mean, the way people worshipped, or followed bands back in the day, those days are over. I think it's way more transparent these days. It's way more, there's so much music coming out every day that unless you're a hardcore fan of somebody, it's really hard to keep track of what's going on, unless you check iTunes and Billboard. And yeah, if you check Billboard, you can see it's all freaking pop music, But I don't think that's the actual reality. That is just like what the herd follows. I think that if you dig down, now especially with the internet, man, we have so many choices to pick and choose and to find, new artists through word of mouth or just like Googling stuff, So it's actually, I think, an exciting time for music because there's so many more outlets than there were before. But I do think that as a rock band, as a rock act, you have to kind of be out there and tour and do the work, And again, as long as there are concerts and music festivals, there's a huge demand, I think, and that will never die. People want to experience that rock and roll, they want to experience like a real great band on stage. It's just a matter of, will there be a lot of great bands, that can actually rock and roll, like, Skid Row and Guns N' Roses and those guys did, back in the day. And that's really up to the new generation, get out there and just fucking rock out. So yeah, I'm just as curious. And I think the interesting part too is that actually there's a lot of plugins, and I love computer music because obviously I do electronic music, and everything I do is pretty much in the computer other than live guitars and or bass. But I do think that it's a great time for that, and I embrace it. We should embrace technology, and we should totally embrace what is going to be happening next. The funny thing is, though, that a lot of plugins these days are, trying to emulate the analog sound, and it's kind of funny because we got rid of analog, and now we're trying to get back to that sound. We'll see. I mean, I think it's an exciting time for music. And, I find it hilarious and frustrating when artists complain about how bad music is these days. And my answer to that is, if you are an artist, make better music. Make better music, like stop complaining and just freaking do something better than what's out there. Or don't complain, So I'm excited, and I think there's going to be a fine balance, a great balance between rock, electronic music, I'm a fan of music in general. I just love great music, and I think people are a little bit more open-minded these days. But yeah, the majority of people will always follow what's on the radio, But I think even then people get sick of it, and they don't want to hear the same song 20,000 times, shoved down their throats, because as much as they love a song, you can get also sick of a song pretty quickly, So I think we should embrace technology, we should embrace the future, and at the same time, don't forget where it all started, and maybe combine those, and keep it alive by going to shows, support local music, and supporting those artists that, you really love, and spread the word and the love. Next question was from Scott Gensen. When you have a musical idea, how do you decide whether it ends up as JVB, Reva Eva, or the music library? It's actually pretty simple. I have a lot of music that I've written for Otto's Daughter back in the day, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm going through that right now. And basically, if I don't have a vocal idea for it, unless I really, really love the instrumental and consider it to be on my album, I just throw in a library. I'm like, all right, I don't have an idea for vocals. I put in a library. It's a great track, but it's not going to be a vocal track, and I'm not inspired to sing over it. So library music. If it's a dance track and I find a hook that I really dig, and I'm just kind of having a ton of fun with it, it's probably going to end up being a Reva Eva song. The cool thing about my Reva Eva project is that I really don't care about it being commercial, it being hooky, fitting into whatever. I just write it because it's something I love to do, and it comes out of me, and I'm just having fun with it. And then I just, you know, when I did the music video for Up and Dance, where Ashley was actually my co-star in the video. That was just a fun track, and I just had that spontaneous idea to just do a music video, you know, go to Venice Beach and just shoot it. And I had a blast. It was just like a really it's a self-indulgent project. And I don't really care if it's gonna make me $1 million or if I just have fun with it. Obviously, I'll take the money, but if it doesn't make me any money, I just have a blast doing it. So that's it. Then the Jacqueline Van Bierk stuff, my solo project, it's basically, I'm more picky with that because I do want to keep it very authentic, and I want to keep it something that I'm feeling and that represents me as an artist. How I started, it was very theatrical, it was dark, and although I embrace very much, you know, the lighter side of what I'm writing, I try to keep it somewhat in that same, you know, where it just represents me, who I am, you know, so who I am today and what I am today. And if if I write it and then all of a sudden I feel like, man, I'm hitting a wall, I'm not digging it anymore, it's not, you know, who I am as an artist, I'll put it in the library too. I do vocal tracks for libraries as well. Especially I love, so if I, and even if I record the vocals and later on I realize, you know, the song is just like a little bit too cheesy or it's a little bit too happy, you know, it doesn't quite fit in, I might just put it in the library as a vocal track. And obviously, like, if a library hits me up and they have a specific question, a specific request, I love that even more, because then the more you can tell me what you want, the more I can, you know, just be very precise and give it to you. So if I do like a sound-alike album, like a pop album, you know, then it's really easy for me to get right to the point, you know, lyrically, and I don't really have, it doesn't have to be personal, it just has to be universal. When I write for Jacqueline Van Bierk, I try to make it universal, meaning the lyrics, you know, make it so everybody can get it, but it's not my main goal. My main goal is to just like write what I feel, you know, to keep it very real and represent myself as an artist. And I love the fact that I have these outlets, you know, because it's really fun for me to write different genres, although it's somewhat in the same realm, but I do like to explore different things. And for the libraries, I mostly write indie pop, a lot of drama tension, which I love, and also a lot of rock tracks with Jim playing the guitars, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm having fun with that. And the decision is pretty easy, you know, if it's something I'm like, oh my god, like Daggers was one of those songs, I think, that it started out as a library track, and then I really just, it hit me and I made it mine. And the same thing happened actually to an Artist's Daughter song. What song was it? Oh my god, Prison Walls. There were a few actually. Prison Walls was a library track, and then all of a sudden I just like, the lyrics came to me and it was like magic and it was like so real. I had goosebumps, which I hardly ever get, you know, tears and goosebumps. So I knew that had to be on the album. And the last time is actually funny, it was supposed to be a Pink sound-alike song, and that ended up being on our album because I really liked it. And I don't think it sounds anything like Pink actually, but yeah, sometimes a library track turns into one of my tracks. It's just one of those magical things, you know. But with Jacqueline Van Bierk, I definitely want to feel the magic. I want to really connect with it. That's when I know. And Reva Eva, like I said, I just want to have fun, you know. If it's like, yeah, I have this hook and it's cool, but it's not a very vocal driven track, you know. It's more like just an EDM, electronica, techno track that has a few licks here and there. Then I know it's Reva Eva. Hope that answered your question. The next question comes from Ashley Stafford, my star in the music video. What is your favorite song to perform live? Or some of your favorites, if you can pick just one. Where are some of your biggest music influences that inspired you to pursue a career in music? Okay, question number one. What is my favorite song to perform live? But with Otto's Daughter, I always loved performing Mars. It was one of my favorite songs. I think we almost never played it. I think I think throughout my entire Otto's Daughter life, for as long as we had that song, we pretty much played it at every show. Mars is one of my favorites. I love performing and singing Angels, one of my favorites. And then later on, Prison Walls. Yeah, I don't have just one favorite, sorry. Kiss My Ass was a fun song to perform. The Last Time, I loved The Last Time. The guys didn't care too much for it, but I loved because I was jumping around, having a great time. Beautiful is one of my other favorite songs. So yeah, I don't just have one. I just love, but I tend to do more like the high energy songs live, you know, and the more interactive ones like Showgirl was always fun to play and to perform. And actually I performed Showgirl with my solo project in New York at Fashion Week as well, because it's a fun song, and I love interacting with the crowd. That's really important to me. So that's one of the songs that people walk away and they'll still be like, I wanna fuck you too. So it's kind of cool. My influences, some of my biggest influences in music, in my music career, I would definitely say, I mean, the Queen, Madonna, you know, she's always inspired me. I think she's one of the most powerful, most successful, obviously, women in music. And what I always admired about her is her work ethic. She was never fucked up on drugs. She's always reinvented herself, you know, keeping current with her music, always provocative, you know, not really giving a shit what people think about her. So I really admire that about her, and I don't think there's anyone else out there that will ever, you know, measure up to her from a business point of view. You know, I think she's just, I mean, and for someone to be around for that long, for so many decades, that's freaking impressive. You know, that is just major. It's just really cool. So she's been a huge inspiration of mine. And then of course, you know, Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails. I just went crazy when, you know, I discovered them. That was just like so inspiring to me, because I just love the dark side. You know, I just love dark music. Which is funny, when I started writing for Otto's Daughter in the beginning, I had no idea I was that dark, because I really was into pop music. And so, yeah, when I started writing my own material, I was like, whoa, okay, what the hell's going on? This is pretty dark shit. So obviously I had many issues. That's for another vlog. But, so yeah, I would say anybody that is like theatrical, anyone who is, I don't really care so much about, you know, like the vocal gymnastic people. I just love someone who touches me with their voice, you know, even if they just have like a 5-note range. I don't care, you know. I just love that realness. And yeah, Trent Reznor is just like amazing, and he's definitely been one of my major influences in music. And Marilyn Manson, I mean, the power he used to have on stage, it just like fucking blows my mind. I love Rammstein as well. You know, first of all, they are like from my neighborhood in Germany, and they put on a freaking amazing, fantastic, entertaining show, and that to me is so important as an artist. Like I really love, when I go to a show, I want to see a show. That's why it's called a show. You know, I cannot stand when there's artists that just like stand there and they don't fucking do anything. It's like, dude, just like, you know, let's go. And more current, I would say the biggest inspiration and influence has been probably Lady Gaga. I love her so much. I think she's one of the greatest artists of our time. And for me, because I love artists. I love that she is so out there. You know, actually when she first came out, I was like, oh my God, she's doing the blood thing. I used to do that. You know, it was like, I totally relate to her, and I love that. I just totally love how she just does what she wants. You know, she does jazz with Tony Bennett, which is like so freaking amazing. And then she does her acting now, and she does her own music, you know, and you can even tell how in the beginning she was way more pop, and then she slowly, you know, made her way made more music that she actually, how she started out, you know, just being like more herself. Um, Absolutely love her, adore her. I think she, and also her message, you know, and I think she's freaking beautiful. And I do think that she is super talented. You know, she plays a lot of instruments. She has an amazing, incredible voice. Um, yeah, definitely one of my main influences right now. People, and when I say influence, probably not influence, but inspiration. She totally inspires me to make music, you know, to keep going. Besides you, my fans, of course. But yeah, those are the artists that I definitely look up to, and I'm always really, you know, excited about. And Korn too. I used to love Korn a lot. Who else? That's pretty much it. I mean, those were my major ones. Were definitely Madonna, Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, that whole era, you know. And there's a lot of great other artists out there. When Gautier first came out, I mean, he was freaking amazing. I love that album, and I listened to it quite a bit. AWOL Nation, I like him too. I like some of his stuff, but not all of it. And of course, Linkin Park. I have to say, Linkin Park was one of my favorite bands too. When they first came out, it was like freaking awesome. And Pantera. How could I forget about Pantera? Phil Anselmo, like that's like they're everything I can never be. So I really live that through them, you know. That was one of the greatest bands ever, and probably one of the most heaviest bands I ever listened to. But I mean, I like everything. I like dark music as much as I love pop music. You know, I just love good music, and also sometimes cheesy music. Come on, I'm German. You know, what do you want? All right, I hope that answered the question. The last question for today will be from Claire Rose Caldwell. How are you, sweetie? Where do you draw most of your inspiration for the lyrical content of your material, events, experience in life, or things that just come up to you? Or things that just come to you? Things that just kind of come up in my life, basically. What I'm going through, or what friends are going through, something I've maybe read, you know, something that just really hit a nerve. And I also let the music usually guide me. Like, I write a lot of lyrics, but I end up usually not using them. It's kind of interesting. Or I will totally rewrite them, you know. Usually I just write the music first, and then I just keep it on loop. Sometimes I know exactly what I want to talk about, but usually I let the music just guide me. And I actually, you know, try to do the other way around, just to change things up and not get caught in like a trap where I always keep on doing the same thing. But yeah, I mean, inspiration is everywhere, right? It's just life, you know. People, and you know, you are my inspiration. I think what you are doing, your transformation has been amazing, and I just, you know, that is inspiring to me. Other artists, you know, if they're doing something that really inspires me, where I feel like I want to give an answer back to that, you know. So I would just say real life experiences, and also, you know, going back, I might just go back to like a past experience, you know, if that music takes me there. So it really depends on the song and the mood, but for my own music, it will take me a little bit longer usually. I mean, once in a while, this magic happens, and I love that. It doesn't happen that often, but once in a while, I'll just like plug it in, you know, the song comes out, and then the lyrics just like, bro, they just fall out. Like Prison Walls was like that. I mean, that was pretty much the first draft. Like, I just wrote it, and that was it, you know. The last time, same thing. I just wrote it, and that was it. And other songs just take quite a bit of time, where I sometimes struggle with, you know, trying to be hooky, have a great melody, and also meaningful lyrics, and trying to find the balance. I don't know if that even makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me. But then I'm not happy because I feel like, yeah, it's hooky, but it's not it. You know, it's hooky, it's singable, it's memorable, but it's not it. And so it will take me sometimes a little bit. It's kind of like going bra shopping, right? You just go through like 20 bras, and they are okay, but they're not it. When you know, and you guys may not know that feeling, but yeah, don't know what it would be for you, but it's kind of the same thing. It's not always easy to find a good fitting bra, and you have to try a lot of them on, and all of a sudden it's like, yes, this is it. This feels just right. This feels like I can wear this for like a year, 2 years maybe, you know. So with the song, it's like, okay, I can live with that for the rest of my life, you know, hearing that back, or a library track, you know, whatever. If it's coming back to Scott's question, right? Like a library track, I don't really care because it's not, I'm not attached to it. You know, I'm totally detached. Like if it's in a library, it's not on my album. It's not something that will represent me. You know, it still represents me, but not as an artist. I was just a writer. And so if I give, like, if I would write a song for somebody else, I'm detached from it, you know, because it's not me as the artist. So it's kind of, being a songwriter, being an artist is kind of complex. And I think most of us artists probably understand, you know, the complexity of it and the irony of it and the process, you know, because everybody has a different creative process and we all work different. Okay, while I'm at it, I will answer one last question by Zoe Steele. And Zoe asked, what made you write Peter? I love that song. It just gives me goosebumps. Okay, when I wrote Peter, okay, when I wrote Peter, Peter passed away. And wow, I can't believe I'm getting so emotional right now. When I wrote Peter passed away, and that was the only way I could deal with it. That was the only way I could cope with it. And I actually made it sound like a Type O Negative song because it was to honor him. You know, Jim and I were both fans. Hold on. Okay, I can't believe I got so emotional just now, but Peter was a great friend, you know, and he did so many great things for Otto's daughter. And I really, really liked him so much. He was such a great guy. I mean, we talked on the phone sometimes for hours, and he would just like make me laugh. He was such an amazing, amazing guy. He was smart, he was intelligent, you know, and when I say smart and intelligent, there's a difference. You know, some people are smart, but they're not necessarily intelligent. I feel like he was one of those rare people. He was so smart and so funny and just had so much more to give to the world. I'm so grateful that I actually, you know, got to spend time with him and had him to be my friend. He was just a great guy, and he was so freaking talented, and he was so smart, and he was hilarious. He was so funny, and he had probably one of the biggest hearts, you know, that I've ever met. Like, he had such a huge heart, and he really meant well, you know. So when I wrote that song, that was my only way to cope with it. And so I appreciate you liking it and actually feeling the same way I felt when I wrote it. It just came out, you know. That's all. I still miss him so much. Sometimes I feel like he was such a funny dude that sometimes I feel like maybe he just pulled the joke on all of us, and he's like, I'm back. But yeah, I think this is final. However, his music will live on forever, and again, I'm so grateful for the tour we did with them, the 5-6 days we played with them. It was probably one of the greatest times of my life with Otto's daughter, you know, being on stage and singing like #1 with Pete and Tom from Celtic Frost. It was just like a magic moment, and it was so much fun with those guys. I just had a blast, and I was so surprised that the Type O Negative crowd, they really accepted us like completely with open arms, and that was just such a great experience, and I'm so grateful for it. So yeah, that's why I wrote the Peter song. Okay guys, thank you so much for all the questions, and I hope I answered them as well as I could, just being me, JVB, it rhymes. If you have any more questions for me, please comment below. Submit your question, and I will answer some more tomorrow. And again, thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Love you guys.